it's been a discovery for us, because when we started looking at D2C from a consumer wallet share perspective, we found some new categories and we discovered yours. Because today, Indian consumers, they gave us this in a survey that we did. They said that at least 2% of their income they like to give for charitable purposes. 2%, ladies and gentlemen, that's not less in a wallet share, every Indian. So, kudos for doing this all through e-commerce. I think that's a great platform that you've created at Keto. And, knowingly now we know who we're helping when we actually give money to the platform and, actually make somebody's life better. So kudos to you for creating Keto.
Thank you so much.
And again, a huge round of applause
Please
for
stop.
them.
Thank you. Thank you so
For
much.
actually building something so beautiful in e-commerce. So, how did you get started on this? I know, I'm sure you've been asked this question a million times, but, for a lot of us who actually want to do a lot of good for the society in our own ways, you actually went ahead and created a platform. So what got you going?
Well, there were a couple of things actually. I was working with a lot of NGOs in the social space, and I found the big challenge was that first of all, the cost of fundraising was very high, sometimes as high as 50-60%, which I thought was actually criminal because when you donate to a cause, you're expecting as much money as possible to go to that cause. And what used to happen with offline fundraising is that these agencies would charge 50-60% sometimes, which is crazy. The second challenge that all these NGOs faced was that once you reached out to a donor, it was very difficult to reach out to that donor again and ask them for money again. Usually there's a gap between when somebody donates and wants to donate again. And thirdly, for me, what was very exciting actually personally was that I felt like this was a very young country, right? And I came across lots of young people that wanted to make a difference, but didn't know how to make a difference. And when I looked at the ecosystem out west, it was a lot of fun. There were, people were running marathons, there were garage sales, celebrities involved. And I felt like that was a culture that we really sort of needed to bring into India. So those were the thoughts. The idea really was to use technology to build a bridge between people that can help and people that need helping, so that it becomes very easy and transparent. And, you often come across so many people that want to help and they're like, I'm not sure where the money is going to go. Is it going to go to the right place or not? And you have so many people that need helping, and these people, unfortunately, weren't coming together. So the idea was, can you, sort of really use the technology in a young country to build that bridge? And that's how Ketto happened.
I think, and what a beautiful platform it is. So, I know it's an odd question, but what has been your growth like? I mean, over the years, how have you grown? I mean, honestly, who asked this from somebody who's doing a charitable cause? But nevertheless, I mean, how has the platform been growing over the years? And, what have you been doing to, I mean, we always talk about CAC and lots of other things, which is very important, performance marketing. So how has those parameters worked for you? And what was something that you did that worked actually for the platform very well?
So, I mean, it was obviously very challenging when we started off because nobody really knew about crowdfunding per se. It was a very new sort of space. So you had to educate not only the customer, but also the people that were selling the product, which is the NGOs in this case, right? You had to go and convince everybody that this was a possibility. The second challenge, of course, was to convince investors. Because you know how investors are. When something's doing well, they run after what the hot market is. Crowdfunding was something that nobody knew about. And in fact, we went to a lot of investors. We got meetings because, as an actor, it's easier to get meetings with people and stuff. So we got those meetings, but it was very difficult to convince them to invest in a platform like Ketto. In fact, there was one gentleman who said something very interesting. He said that, India is not a very generous country. And I don't see people actually really giving on platforms like this. And we were leaving, and he said, look, what's really important is that it's not important that I believe in your story. It's important that you believe in your story. And if you believe in your story, then 5 years later, I'll look back and I'll say, I should have believed in the story then. And sure enough, 5 years later, he invested in the company. It was, of course, very challenging to begin with. But for us, what's really been our growth has been pretty much organic. It's
Right.
been through recommendations, it's been through word of mouth. A lot of people that actually contribute to somebody's fundraiser, they actually start fundraisers when they need the money. And a lot of people that receive money from fundraisers actually contribute back. So it's a really sort of nice community that builds, and people want to help each other, right? Uh, so it's been very organic, and luckily for us, we've had a lot of also celebrities that have come and started, you know, campaigns on the platform. They've reached out to people that are following them on social media, things like that. So the word of mouth has spread like very organically, and I think what was very important for us is that, initially when we started off, there was a lot of sort of shame attached to asking for money. We as Indians don't like to ask for money. No matter how much you need it, you feel like, a little sort of embarrassed about being on a platform like this, asking people. But what happened eventually is that they saw a lot of people like themselves in trouble or in need, and they felt like if they can ask for money, why can't we?
Yeah.
Right? So I think that really sort of was a hurdle to overcome, and that hurdle again was, something very naturally that happened. And I think the biggest growth obviously happened during the pandemic.
Correct.
A lot of people suddenly wanted to help make a difference. I had friends that had never done anything charitable that were calling me and saying, how can we start a campaign? A friend of mine started a campaign to feed stray dogs through the pandemic. He's never done anything charitable in his life. Uh, I have a friend of mine, his daughter's just 9 years old, and she was sitting with him and watching television. And she said, look, Dad, I don't want to just watch. I want to do something. I want to make a difference. So he called me up and he said, look, she wants to start a campaign. I don't know what she's going to do, but she wants to start a campaign. And she started a campaign for migrant workers and ended up raising 14 lakhs.
Wow.
And this is just a 9-year-old girl, right? So I think for us, what's very gratifying is that we are providing an avenue for people. Earlier, there would have been this 9, 10-year-old girl or this friend of mine that wanted to make a difference, but it would have just been an intention and there would have been no sort of action. I think a platform like Ketto gives you an opportunity for action. And yeah, during the pandemic, obviously, things really, people really wanted to make a difference, really contribute, really help others. And I think that's when it really sort of took off.
So, do you also in this journey work with, religious establishments in India, temples, gurdwaras, they always have a lot of funds, and on their own individual level, they keep on doing stuff which
Right,
helps
right.
people, the community, the society in some way. But, has Keto ever worked with them in order to, I mean, I could be wrong, but personally, I think amount of money we put on a bhandara could be better spent in educating or treating somebody who has got a physical ailment, because the food gets over in one go. So, have you ever done that?
So we haven't really gone out directly to seek. It's not like we've gone to a religious institution and said, you should be on the platform. But there's a lot of these religious institutions that also have NGOs of their own.
Yes.
And these NGOs have been listed on Ketto. And there have been instances when they've raised money for a specific cause, that particular institution and their NGO. So we haven't gone seeking religious donations and stuff, but yeah, they have NGOs that list on the platform and raise on the platform.
So, they come to you by the way.
They come, yes, they come eventually.
Okay. On a personal level, you were very early mover in the startup stage. So is it still, you follow the whole startup industry, D2C? I mean, it's such a flourishing industry. Our friends here, they started from literally from the youngest and now they've grown it into full, big, large organizations. So do you make some investments as an angel investor?
I do. And I'm really sort of fascinated by obviously the whole D2C space and how it's just taken off in this country, right? I find that very fascinating, and I do. I mean, I think I started off. I come from a business family, and the instinct is
never goes away.
yeah, it doesn't go away. It's always there, and I'm always sort of looking for business opportunities. So I have invested in a whole bunch of companies, and I continue to look for companies that I can invest in.
So we would love to know a little more about you as an angel investor. So what kind of companies?
Well, right now, the last couple of companies that have invested have been future tech companies like robotics.
Oh, wow.
So I find future tech really fascinating. I'm really taken in by the whole biohacking and Obviously AI. I mean, who hasn't dipped into AI? Robotics, what that is going to do for the future. Those are things that I find really fascinating. So those are companies that I'm looking to invest in right now.
That's lovely. So anybody who's looking for an investment, Kunal is going to be here for a while. So please reach out to him.
Yeah, please do. Actually, I'd love to see what people are doing.
And you've probably seen, you're coming from a business family, you've probably seen this whole, startup industry getting developed, tech becoming powerful as a business enabler. I mean, you've started your business. Ketto has been started through tech enablement. So, what is your advice to a lot of people out here who actually using tech as a business opportunity, and how do they make the most of it?
Well, first and foremost, it's not as romantic as it looks. Like the movies, it's a lot of grinding, lots of hard work. When you see somebody in the movies, you feel like this is a lot of fun, and it's good. It's very romanticized. I think entrepreneurship is similar. When you're on the outside and you're looking inside, you're like, oh my God, I'd love to start a company of my own, and I'd love to do this and that. But I think there's a lot of grinding, there's a lot of hard work. And yeah, if you're going to jump into this, I think you've got to have singular focus. You've got to be, it's very similar to the movies in that sense. I always find that entrepreneurship and the movies have a lot of commonalities. One is obviously you've got to listen to your audience, because that's the most important thing. I mean, you could work all year long on a film, and on Friday it releases and everyone's like, this is a terrible film. And you could you could turn around and say that the audience doesn't get it, or you could turn around and say, I've got to learn from what the audience is saying, right? I think it's similar with entrepreneurship. You've got to constantly listen and learn from the audience. The second is that it's a lot of hard work, obviously. The third is that you've got to be a great storyteller. I think people underestimate how important it is to tell a great story when it comes to entrepreneurship. Why you're doing what you're doing. How do you make it interesting for people? Why should people believe in your brand and follow your brand? So obviously, in the movies, you have to tell a great story, but I think even as an entrepreneur, it's very important to tell a great story. And most importantly, you've got to be thick-skinned, I think, in both fields, because there's going to be a lot of criticism. There's going to be a lot of brickbats that come your way, and you've got to just really singularly believe in what you're doing, because it can be a lonely journey, and you've got to keep going.
Absolutely. I think it's a great journey, though. It's a fulfilling journey at the end of the day, just like a hit movie, I guess. So, let's once again, give it to him for doing great movies and also building a great business. I think, we're doing one thing, but you're doing twice over. So you're doing both Bollywood as well as business. So thank you for joining us and speaking
Thank
to
you
us,
so much.
Kunal. And it's been wonderful having you here. And we wish all the very best to Ketto to do and achieve more bigger milestones.
Thank you, and have a great evening, and congratulations to all the winners, especially the ones here that are really loud. Congratulations to all of you.